Dorian Blake, a brilliant but eccentric book hunter and self-confessed bibliomaniac, heads the small firm Blake & Associates Literary Investigations in San Francisco. From their loft-style office on Clementina Street, Dorian and his teammates track missing manuscripts, authenticate dubious discoveries, and navigate a shadow world of collectors, auction sharks, and occult bibliophiles. Each case is a mystery whose solution hinges on deep book lore, forensic bibliography, and treacherous human motives. A ledger in the luggage carousel. Everything smells of brine the moment the cargo hold is breached. Sydney's pre-dawn humidity sets the scent trembling in the air like a tuning fork struck just off key. At gate F14 of Kingsford Smith International, two ground crew in fluorescent vests heave an unremarkable flight case, its padlock furred with sea salt crystals that crunch beneath gloved fingers. "Mate, you see this crust?" one handler mutters, scraping the hinge. "Looks like it's been cruising the Pacific on a dinghy." His partner shrugs. "Not our circus." They load it onto a motorized belt. No one notices the faint stenciled letters, half washed away. HMB Resolution, Log 1777. Intercut, the podcaster. Seated 3 meters away, Lila Benitez flicks a lav mic on her denim jacket collar and speaks under her breath, eyes tracking the case through a lens no larger than a shirt button. Field log 05-17-25, 0412 AM. A weather-beaten flight case tagged Transpac cargo just cleared oversize. Markings reference Captain Cook's resolution. The thrill is a muscle memory. Same jolt I got tailing the Panama Papers courier in 2021. If this box ends up in the Bay Area, like the whisper chain suggests, I'll have a front row seat. She ends the memo, sends it into her encrypted cloud, and buys the cheapest one-stop to San Francisco. 24 hours later, that same case spins lonely on the luggage carousel at SFO's Terminal G, orbiting like a moon around baffled travelers. No passenger claims it. A TSA security officer named Alvarez, who secretly writes maritime horror novellas, slits the zipper, expecting camera gear for some influencer. Instead, he finds a calf-bound logbook water-warped to a ripple. Inside, cramped copper-plate cursive carries the date, May 21st, 1778, during Captain James Cook's third voyage, when the explorer allegedly secreted Spanish gold plundered from Manila, but later denied the haul existed. An embossed plate on the pace-down, property of the National Maritime Museum, London, on loan for exhibit. Except the museum never authorized a loan. Customs officers freeze. They dial Interpol, then ICE Cultural Heritage Unit, then their own public affairs officer who is still asleep. By sunrise, headlines blare from San Jose to Singapore. Cook Codex vanishes, resurfaces in SFO. And somewhere on the Embarcadero, the fog sings opportunity into the ears of a book hunter. Scene 1. Fog, leather, and larceny. Blake & Associates' brick and steel loft buzzes like an overloaded substation. Liu Zhang darts between monitors, hoodie strings whipping as he stops short at a touchscreen petri dish of digital evidence. "Chain of custody?" "Non-existent," he says, projecting the cargo manifest onto frosted glass. "No RFID tag, no airline waybill. It's as if the case teleported." Meera Patel flips through high-resolution customs photos on her tablet, stylus twirling. Salt efflorescence consistent with decades in a damp archival vault. Check the marine sulfate crystals, non-museum-grade dehumidification. She zooms further. Look, leather fibers fused by sodium chloride bloom. This thing was dunked, then slow-baked in its own brine. Clara Reyes sips chicory coffee, grimaces at the grit. Somebody staged abandonment. They wanted US authorities to seize it, take it out of private hands while sowing blame. cheaper than smuggling it straight to a black market buyer. On the mezzanine, Professor Giles Harrow appears via hollow slab from Cambridge, hair electrified like he's licked a Van de Graaff generator. That logbook is the secondary ledger, kept by Thomas Bligh, Cook's quartermaster. Rumours say Bligh recorded a clandestine drop-off, location code Bay of Furies. The logbook could pinpoint the treasure Cook denied. Dorian Blake's fingertips linger on a bronze Hypatia drachma that serves him as meditation stone. The real headline: who risked international law to plant it on US soil? He flips the coin. The owl side glints like prophecy. His phone buzzes. Helena Cloth, again, senior adjuster at Triton Lloyd Syndicate. NMM's about to file a 7-figure claim. Recover the codex, verify authenticity, unmask culprit. Bonus tiers stack like casino chips. Dorian signs via encrypted thumbprint. Intercut 1A, Lila's leak. In a Tenderloin hostel dorm, Lila Benitez edits an emergency bonus episode of her award-winning micropod, Shadow Ledger. She splices airport floor ambience under narration to cloak the source. Listeners, imagine a book that rewrites maritime history with the scratch of a quill. Now imagine it sitting in a TSA quarantine bubble. I don't know who delivered the gift, but I know who wants it back. She schedules the episode for 4 p.m., unlisted URL. Then she slips on a peacoat and heads for Blake and Associates, betting they'll be her next breadcrumb. Scene 2. Customs Quarantine. In a sterile room at SFO Cargo, the Codex rests inside a nitrogen tent resembling a portable greenhouse for very old, very cranky orchids. A Homeland Security supervisor named DuPont shuffles paperwork while watching the agents through plexiglass like a low-stakes zoo patron. Blake's team gets 40 minutes. Mira hovers a multispectral scanner over the binding, half-split joints, rusted staples from a 1920s conservation, faint stamp of Price and Gurney restoration. Leo carefully threads a micro-CT probe between pages. Ghostly cross-sections bloom on screen, revealing a sealed compartment carved into the foredge, now empty. Clara snorts. Smuggler removed something during transit, probably the treasure coordinates. If it was just coins, they'd have shipped metal, not parchment. Dorian peers under raking light, pencil ghost lines margining tidal watermarks. Shorthand notations waver up like palimpsest spirits. Pitman script, British 19th century. He photographs every inch. Back in the loft, Leo enhances the images. Mira deciphers shorthand. F. Price. Cavity milled and gift, prepared for the Silvano bid. Doc code 7. Seal before Sydney leg. Fenwick Price. Disgraced maritime historian who consulted for NMM before embezzling a 6-figure grant, then vanished. Doc code likely marks a rendezvous on the bay. Intercut 2A, Price's prequel, flashback. 3 weeks earlier, on a shadow-lit quay in Auckland, Price meets a pair of Fijian brothers who traffic in deep-water salvage drones. He buys their silent model, cash in polyethylene. His voice cracks with excitement as he explains he's finally going back for what's his. 30 years in service to institutions that brandish ivory towers and hand out wooden nickels, he tells the younger brother. I intend to retire on actual pirate's gold, the irony intact. He laughs, a fishhook snicker, as moonlight pricks the cane he'll soon weaponize. Scene 3. 2 new shadows. Adversary number 1. Fenwick Price. Oxbridge pedigree, whiskey temper, now armed with submersible drone tech and a gambler's short fuse. Adversary number 2. Nia Silvano. Silicon Valley private equity tycoon, whose apps gentrified 3 continents. She bankrolls Price to secure blue-chip relics, then fractionalizes them as NFTs, hawking blockchain shards of world heritage like artisanal croutons. Helena confirms NMM recently rejected Silvano's slick proposal to digitize Cook's archives in exchange for licensing fees and tokenization rights. Within a week, security cameras spotted Price skulking near the museum's cold storage vault, backside luminescent under motion sensor lights. Now Price plants the codex in SFO, but rips out coordinates, so only his financier knows the dive site, unless Blake intercepts. Scene 4, Dock Code 7. Leo maps port schematics. Dock 7 is a decommissioned molasses pier off Fisherman's Wharf, condemned and fenced, yet somehow never rezoned. At midnight, fog drapes the pylons like funeral linen. Dorian and Clara lurk behind crab pot booms, while Mira monitors air quality sensors for VOCs indicative of portable compressors, telltale of submersible prep. A Zodiac inflates from black water. Price, gaunt, grey, ivory-tipped cane despite a predator's stride, steps onto the pier. Nia Silvano follows, graphite wetsuit zipped under mink-collared coat. Between them, a titanium cylinder hisses like it remembers pressure. Parabolic mic picks up dialogue, wind-warped. Silvano. Timetable accelerates. NNMM's sending a retrieval envoy. Price. Then we dive now. Blake. A minor rat. He'll gnaw but not find the cheese. Silvano, chuckling. Cheese bought my fourth mansion. Dorian texts Leo. Leo pops an exploit into municipal lighting. Wharf lamps strobe, then blackout. In IR goggles, the world turns mint green. Clara boards the Zodiac, camera shutter suppressed. She photographs cylinder markings, serial ties to Triton Deep X autonomous ROV. Before she can plant a tracker, Price swivels, cane crackling with a stun arc. Clara vaults over rail, hits water, bruised but breathing. The Zodiac tears off, engine churning fog into cotton. Subscene 4. B. Lila's scoop. Hidden behind a tide-eroded piling, Lila records everything on a 4K night vision rig borrowed from a tear-down startup's liquidation sale. She whispers color commentary for her listeners. Listeners, Dock 7 is a noir postcard. Two silhouettes just tangoed with a stun baton. One splashed, female operative. Now the Zodiac's chewing distance like a shark. She is about to follow when a gloved hand grabs her collar. Leo, mask pulled up, hisses, "Friend or clickbait?" Lila recovers composure. Paywalled clickbait has funded more truth than your hush contracts, hacker boy. They glare. Then sirens slice the fog, SFPD responding to an unrelated car burglary. Leo drags her under a catwalk so patrol lights don't silhouette them. "We both want Price nailed," she says. "I can redirect the narrative so your client stays clean, but I need access." Leo grunts. "Story for data. We'll discuss terms." Scene 5. Hidden ledger. Hidden reef. Back in the loft, Leo decodes the cylinder's serial. A lookup pings Triton Cloud, revealing a sonar mapping schedule 48 hours hence from the chartered research vessel MV Argo Zephyr, departing Half Moon Bay. Mira pores over more shorthand ghosts, mentions hydrographic set 34B archived at Hammerley House. The Victorian seaside mansion in Pacifica, newly purchased by Silvano's Shell Corp. Dorian weighs the coin again, murmurs, "The map within the map." He authorizes a black bag recon. Intercut 5A. The surfer's clue. Clara phones a contact, Tito Manalo, a Filipino semi-pro surfer turned vessel spotter. Tito's drone footage 2 days earlier captured a midnight cargo transfer from a rusted trawler onto a container marked HH Estate at the Pacifica Pier. Crate size matches a map chest. He emails the video. Digital watermark sells its authenticity. Tito jokes, "Truth rides high tide, 8, using the Tagalog honorific, then asks when Clara will finally learn to surf unroped. Clara promises lessons post-mission. Scene 6. Hammerley House Heist. Dawn. Pacific rip currents thump Hammerley's seawall. Lila, now freelancing inside the mission under a provisional NDA, sets up a boom mic disguised as a gull perch farther down the coast. She will capture any alarm chatter. Silvano's drones patrol in figure eights. Leo spoofs their beacon signatures, reassigning geofences to a phantom maintenance mode. Mira aerosols an iridescent refractive dye into the laser sensors on the east wing. LiDAR paints nothing but rainbow haze. Inside, oak corridors smell of lemon oil and neglect. A grandfather clock ticks like a slow chase scene. They find the library, walls draped in ship plans, sextants, Cook voyage charts. A sprawling bathymetric sheet of Fiji's Vatu Lele Reef glows under blue LED track lights. Fresh red X marks bleed on the plastic overlay. Mira's brow knots. These overlays are cheap print jobs. She left decoys. She lifts the corner. Beneath lies a blank sheet. Leo tethers a pocket drive to the NAS tower, humming under the desk. File tree reveals only shell directories. Dead end. Placeholders pointing to an encrypted off-site bucket. They exfil, but Clara's flashlight catches a wisp of glass. Behind faux Steinbeck hardcovers, a hidden drawer springs. Price's battered whiskey flask sits inside, label peeled off to reveal a micro SD taped beneath. She pockets it. Outside, a gull, no, Lila's boom, crackles. Security reboot in 19 seconds. Exterior IR reticles coming online. They bolt through a service hatch, shoes splashing kelp. Back at HQ, Leo cracks the SD passphrase, labyrinth. Files contain sonar slices, showing a chest-sized anomaly buried under reef sand, tagged Manila Tithe. Scene 7. Submersible Showdown. 48 hours later, the Pacific wears a wool sky. MV Argo Zephyr churns south. Blake team rents a crabbing boat called High Tide Nancy, whose owner, Captain Del Toro, can't decide whether secret salvage or salmon quotas pay better. Coast Guard cutter Sequoia shadows at radar distance, running black ops courtesy of Helena's insurance leverage. Lila rides Nancy, microphone on, Dramamine patch visible, euphoric at the exclusivity clause she strong-armed from Dorian, audio embargoed until successful recovery. Leo's drone hovers above Argo, live feed streams to everyone's heads up. Price stands at the helm station, joystick dancing. Silvano, sporting a VR halo, watches the ROV camera feed projected on a shimmer screen like a sea goddess ruling pixels. Mira piggybacks into the ROV's telelink, capturing frames. Coral pillars emerge, then a boxy sonar return she outlines in red. 2 times 1 meters, density anomaly. Target acquired, she whispers. Clara, already in a stealth wetsuit, clips a waterproof transponder to her belt. Dorian's hand lingers on her shoulder. Watch the surge channels. Reef's got wicked suction. She nods, rolls into the slate water. Below, bioluminescent plankton burst like galaxies as she descends 20 meters. She sees the ROV, stainless thrusters, titanium jaw clamp ready for lift. She swims above, magnets the micro-EMP coil to its battery node. Grip remote, pin code 0314, the ratio of treasure hunters to honest historians. Coil discharges, the ROV stutters, lights dim. On Argo, alarms beep. Price yanks headset, curses Old Norse and modern. Silvano's VR halo flickers. Clara tucks behind a coral buttress, watching them flail. She plants the transponder on the sonar anomaly, a wooden iron chest vine-braided by centuries of calcified tube worms. She triggers a lift bag. Yellow sausage inflates and yanks treasure skyward. Coast Guard pounces. Dorian boards Argo via rib with 2 CG agents in digital blue. He presents a seizure warrant citing antiquities smuggling under the UK-US bilateral treaty. Silvano's in-house counsel speed dials Washington, screaming about innovation strangulation. Meanwhile, Del Toro hoots, filming on a GoPro he plans to auction to Netflix. Price, cornered, swings cane at Clara climbing aboard. She blocks with an aluminum dive tank, clang, and disarms him. Stun baton clatters. A CG agent cuffs Price. His shoulders slump as if venom drained. Silvano, livid but icily composed, agrees to power down engines. Lila records discreetly. Coral spray salts her lens. She whispers, "Episode title draft. The chest, the codex, and the crypto queen. Bookmark that." Subscene 7B. Underwater twist. As the lift bag breaches, chest barnacles crack. Coins tumble like gilt, but among them glimmers a jade rosary bead, no Spanish mint mark, but carved with a Chinese character for ransom. Mira catalogues it mentally. Bly's ledger hinted at negotiations to free Hawaiian captives. History ripples anew. Scene 8. Museum Director's Secret. Yet puzzle pieces don't fit. Why did Sir Ashton Dale, NMM Director, initially downplay the security breach? Giles Harrow, now prowling the British archives, uncovers board minutes redacted for commercial sensitivity. He decrypts backups. Old archivist passwords are comically literary. Silverfork 78. Turns out Dale quietly agreed to license Cook artifacts to Silvano's NFT fund, Dynamic Liquidity for Heritage, he pitched. He granted Price a midnight research pass. Theft was staged to jack up market scarcity. But Price cut the cord, setting himself up as the sole coordinate holder, betting he could outmaneuver Silvano later. Interpol indicts Dale for conspiracy to traffic cultural property. Dale resigns, blaming digital disruption echo chambers. Intercut 8A. Prison negotiation. In a concrete interview room, Price faces Helena Cloth and a DOJ attorney. He's gaunt but defiant, eyes glittering like tide pools. Helena, cooperate, and your sentence drops to single digits. Price scoffs. I studied centuries of empire. The Crown pardoned worse betrayals for half this haul. DOJ. This isn't 1778. TikTok will meme you into a cautionary tale before lunch. Price chuckles, finally cracks. He details how he sliced the codex's foredge in a 1998 restoration, installing a brass compartment containing reef coordinates. Dale funded a bogus salt desalination procedure last year, submerging the ledger in brine to mask tampering, then arranged the flight case ruse. Scene 9. Restitution and Revelation. The chest yields 1,342 Spanish doubloons dated 1762 to 1773, plus the jade rosary beads. Philippines files a cultural claim. UK agrees to joint conservation, supervised by UNESCO. Helena's insurer underwrites restoration in exchange for exhibition naming rights, marketing dreams in pound signs. Petra Vlantis, her reputation redeeming after the Crete affair, deciphers quartermaster ciphers with Harrow. They publish in Antiquity evidence Cook intended to ransom British sailors held by Hawaiian chiefs, contradicting the narrative of pure imperial plunder. Academic Twitter implodes. Nia Silvano sells her NFT firm below valuation to cover legal fees. Her mansion's mink-lined wetsuits hit Sotheby's novelty auction. Price releases a jailhouse memoir, Labyrinths of Ledger and Sea, pre-orders tank when Lila's expose outsells it 10-1. Epilogue. Ink, salt, and silence. Months later, the Salt-Stained Codex, now desalinated under Mira's gentle vacuums, rests in a cradle before shipment back to London. Leo attaches a tamper-proof blockchain seal he coded and personally pen-tested for 21 hours straight. Clara mounts Price's shattered stun baton beside Ariadne's Minotaur mask on the loft's trophy wall. Lila drops by with a crate of ethically sourced donuts to thank the crew for the story of a lifetime and a dozen moral quandaries. She leaves behind a limited press vinyl of her podcast season finale, track titled Even Seawater Can't Silence Paper. Night stretches across the bay. Dorian slides a Spanish coin between thumb and forefinger, flips the Hypatia drachma. Owl sighed again. Page's turn, he murmurs, voice nearly lost in the foghorn's bellow. Storms gather. Opportunity listens. Outside, cargo cranes stand like mythic beasts against sodium vapor light. Somewhere beyond, another ledger awaits mischief.